Welcome okay. Welcome everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. This is very, very new for me. This is the first time that I have been involved in this walk. Our lives forever changed on March 24th, 1985. I hope you will bear with me today as I speak to you as never before have I actually put down on paper the series of events that transpired that tragic day. Sundays were a family day for us, and we participated in church and family activities. Jason got up early that spring morning and told me that he wanted to fix breakfast for everyone. That sounded great to me. I didn't have to cook. Later that morning, when we drove to church, he told me that he didn't want to have to participate in his usual responsibilities that day. I asked him why, but I didn't get much of an answer. I told him it was his choice. There were other young men there that could handle the service responsibilities that day. He didn't need to do it every week. He seemed pretty good spirits after that for the rest of our church service. Church went as usual, and we went home to play family board games and such with the 4 younger children. Jason decided he didn't want to play games, so he went to his room, as he had done many other Sundays after church. A chicken casserole was cooking in the oven for dinner, and when the board games were finished, we announced, "Time for dinner, everyone. Wash your hands. Come to the table." I took the casserole out of the oven and put it on the table. All of the members gathered quickly to the table in the kitchen except for Jason. Laura, our youngest child, who was 4 years old at the time, was designated to be the person to go tell her big brother to come it's time for dinner. She returned from her task with a very strange look on her face. "Mommy, Jason won't wake up." From that moment in time, our lives changed forever. I walked down the short hallway to my boy's bedroom and immediately screamed in horror. I screamed in agony as I realized my son had shot himself. I had to rush to the telephone to call the 911 operator and tell her that same information. It has been 26 and a half years since that Sunday nightmare of events in 1985, but I only have to close my eyes to forever replay the video of finding my son. The house quickly became a mass of paramedics, firemen, and police cars. Our quiet cul-de-sac was rapidly filled with emergency vehicles and flashing red lights. My sister Diane and a close friend in his car and following the ambulance on the freeway and assured me he had seen several gunshot victims with wounds like Jason's who had survived. I was holding on to hope and prayers, trying to understand what had happened. We were just a normal family with 5 children and regular lives of school, soccer, Boy Scouts, brownies, church, and community participation. How could this happen to us? Somehow what was taking place seemed to be things that only happened in the news or on TV, not to real families. Shortly after arriving at the hospital, I was informed that Jason was in the trauma center and they were performing a brain scan on him. I was by myself at this time because the police had kept my husband at the house asking many questions. I couldn't understand why he wasn't with me. My bishop from church arrived and stayed with me and told me that the police were questioning everyone, including Ron. I was ambushed by social workers from the hospital, accusing me and threatening to take away my younger children. Thank goodness for Bishop Nichols, who got them to back off for a while. Jason was put on the respirator and we were told they would do another EEG in a couple of hours. I did not leave the hospital for 2 days. By late Monday, the doctors had asked us if we would consider donating Jason's organs for transplants. His body was good, it was just his brain that was no longer functioning, and he would probably remain in this vegetative state as long as he was on the respirator. As I was in shock and denial, all I could think about is that the doctors wanted to cut my firstborn child up into pieces. At that time, I couldn't think of anything else and told the doctors no. I would not give permission for him to be an organ donor. After hearing my decision, the doctors decided that they would take Jason off the respirator that night, that his life would end in a few hours. Agonizing in the hospital waiting room with Jason's grandparents, uncles, aunts, and uncles was horrible. We were allowed to sit with Jason from time to time, and we took each of the children in to say goodbye to their big brother. There was some sort of mix-up in the hospital instructions. and Jason had not been disconnected from the respirator that night after all. Tuesday morning, about 10 a.m., again, I had to make the decision to end my child's life. It was the most terrible decision I had to make the first time, and now I had to make it again. 2.5 hours later, Jason was pronounced dead on Tuesday, March 26, 1985. Life was over for Jason, and so was life for the rest of us, family as we knew it. What do you do now? Back in 1986, there were no books or instructions anywhere to tell you how to bury your child. He was only 16 years old. Jason had many friends, and this was acknowledged by the completely filled church at the service on that Friday. The school principal allowed the students to leave the school who wanted to attend his funeral because the church was just across the street from this high school. Now, along with the funeral preparations that had to be arranged, I was his mother. I should have been aware of the severity of his depression. I should have protected him so he wouldn't have to feel that the only way out of this pain was to take his own life. Jason's suicide rocked our family, the entire school, our church, and the community. I shut down and withdrew from all of my volunteer activity and friends. It was a major accomplishment for me to get out of bed each day and get my other children off to school. If not for my 4 younger children needing their mother at this awful time, I don't know what I would have done. I thought seriously about suicide myself many times, especially on the first Mother's Day after Jason's death. What kind of mother was I that I had failed my firstborn son? I felt like I didn't deserve to be called a mother. Excuse me. I left my tissues in the car. Thank you. Holidays, birthdays, every single day really was very difficult. We didn't have the internet 26 years ago to click here or there and to find support groups or things to look for to watch out to learn why your child might have been depressed. It has been a long time since Jason's suicide, and not a day goes by that I don't think of Jason and what he could have been today. I visit the cemetery 3 to 5 times a year to visit Jason and to talk with him. I want him to know that I never stopped loving him, and he is and always will be a part of my family. We have always encouraged our children, who were 12, 8, 6, and 4 at the time of Jason's suicide, to talk about the good times and the bad. They were encouraged to share their stories and remember that Jason is a part of our family, even if it made Mommy cry. We all have shed many tears. If contributing and participating in today's walk can save just one person, it will be worth every dollar contributed and every step I take. If one of you goes home today and are able to talk with a family member or friend and get them or yourself to talk about their pain or depression, then today will be worth every tear I have shed over putting Jason's story on paper and sharing with you today. I have wondered over the years what I could have done different for Jason. I have wanted to do something to help some other family from suffering the pain and loss of a child through suicide. Today, I feel like I can do that. I am grateful for my daughter, Laura Briggs Fraley, my baby, for being aware and finding out about this Out of the Darkness walk in her community, so we can perhaps be just one small part of letting someone else who may be suffering from suicidal thoughts know that there are alternatives to suicide. There can be a light at the end of the tunnel if they will reach out for help. Don't take the path of a permanent solution to a temporary problem. As long as you choose to live your life, no matter how hard it may be, at the time, you will have made the right decision, the right choice for you and your family members. Stay alive, and your family will not have to suffer as ours had all these long years. I would like to acknowledge all of my children and grandchildren today. They are now and continue to be a blessing and light in my life. I am thankful for their love and support over these years. They have all grown into wonderful parents themselves and have always kept their brother alive in their lives. They are Keith and his wife Margaret, Jason, yes, another Jason Briggs to carry on his uncle's name, and Emily, their children, Jeanette, a team member today, and her husband Brent Zolliger, and their 3 boys, Jacob, Elijah Robert, Uncle Jason's middle name, and Spencer. Darren and his wife Andrea have 3 children, Abby, Sean, and Thomas. Then my team captain for the walk, Laura, and her husband, Chuck Fraley, and their sons, Ashton and Evan, who was born on Uncle Jason's birthday last year. Thank you for allowing my family and me to be a small part in support of this American Foundation for Prevention of Suicide and this Out of the Darkness community walk today. I wish I had known about this organization years ago. If we had, perhaps we would have not had to suffer in so much pain. Thank you all for your support and participation today.